All right. Well, it is 7 o'clock, and I do want to respect everyone's time. So we will go ahead and get started. So again, I'm Chuck Mingo, and I want to welcome you to the Undivided Gathering today. The gathering exists as a part of the Undivided movement for those who are seeking a belonging space rooted in Jesus and justice. Like I said, my name is Chuck. I get to be your host for tonight, and I'm one of the founders of Undivided. And tonight is an opportunity to hold space, however you find yourself showing up for this call. It has been a very eventful week, you could say, in our country. And we know that the power of coming together is as important as ever this week. And so, through reflection, celebration, and community, our hope is that this evening, this time we share, would offer you a moment of generative healing, that this could offer you a space for empowering dialogue to live into God's vision for justice and how that can be realized through beloved community. And that can come in a variety of forms. And so we want you to take whatever it is that you need from this evening and engage in ways that are healing and restorative for you. We're going to start tonight by being grounded in a reflection with an artist video from our Undivided cohort featuring Rimmel Kamran. We're going to be watching that in just a few moments. We'll also get the opportunity to hear a vision for the next chapter of Undivided, and we're going to commission the future of Undivided through the celebration of Troy Jackson tonight. And I have to say, it is also Troy's birthday. It is Troy's birthday. So Troy is with us. And if you don't know Troy, he's the executive director of Undivided. So I'm going to ask everybody to go ahead and blow up that chat with words of celebration, appreciation for Troy, just so we can bless him with our words of gratitude. I thought about having us all go off mute and sing happy birthday. I didn't know if that would be a blessing to Troy or not. And so I've decided not to do that, but we'll keep the affirmations and encouragements going on in the chat. So thank you for doing that. Part of the DNA of Undivided is that we foster intentional and brave spaces by collectively committing to one another how we will engage and treat each other. And at this time, each month when we gather, we want to begin by affirming the commitments that are true in this space. And so those are going to show up on your screen here in a moment. First, we commit to the flow of racial healing and justice. This space is specifically for those who are pursuing racial justice in their own lives, churches, and communities. And here we want to step into the flow and be present with God's Spirit and with one another in our time. Second, we commit to warmth, empathy, and respect. In this space, we treat one another as the beloved image bearers of a holy and perfect God. This means we get honest by using I statements over you or they statements. And it means that we give grace and listen with empathy. And finally, we commit to dream in the dark. For many of us, these can feel like dark days. And at the gathering, we want to fan the flames of hope and joy in full acknowledgement of the challenges we face. We want to keep imagination alive and dream in the dark. So I'm just going to ask if you're in agreement with these commitments, if you would use the emojis or a thumbs up or put in the chat, we will, just to say, hey, we're committed to being and sharing this space together in this way. Thank you all so much. Awesome. It is a blessing to have you here today. I know some of you may be joining us for the first time, and if that's the case, we are super glad that you are here. And in fact, at the end of the gathering, we're going to share more about how you can connect to the Undivided community. So as I said, we're going to begin our evening by watching one of the artist videos we feature in our Undivided content. So join me as we watch and listen to Rimmel Kamran.
All right. This is going to be a challenging season. We are in it's been a killer last week. It's been difficult. No matter who you voted for, the divisions in this country are deep. And we have a gentleman who is on our board at Undivided whose father had a stroke over the summer. And he talked about the impact of that stroke. And part of the impact was that while his body function came back pretty quickly, his ability to connect the word pin with this object got cut off. And so he had to relearn with flashcards to rewire his brain because that part of the brain had died to be able to say, this is a pin. is I think about where we are as a nation and how divided we are, how much our identities have been tied up in the sinking sand, the foundation of sand of political parties and politicians, how much we have allowed relationships to get burned to the ground, how much we have allowed and coddled racism inside congregations and Christian institutions. We have a lot of work to do in this culture. And I think Undivided is uniquely set to be on the cutting edge, the leading edge of the church in the United States. We know that edge will not happen through selling products or high control models, which we've had more of that approach over these last 4 years. We want to move from product to partnership and from control to contextualization. So whether you're in Michigan or in the Woodlands or Houston in Texas or in Chicagoland or in California, you'll be able to take the best of Undivided, contextualize it in your situation, and begin to advance God's kingdom through this amazing tool. And we believe that part of that is by engaging the frontier of the church in the United States, not a frontier marked by colonialism or white supremacy, a frontier that's actually marked by leadership of Asian American and Hispanic and Black and multiracial, multi-ethnic congregations. We know there will be about 20,000 new churches started in this country in the next decade. Could you imagine if the DNA of racial healing, solidarity, and justice was part of those congregations? What a difference that would make. Those are the churches that are most likely to reach the next generation. Those are churches that are going to look much more like this country is becoming. We want to be on the cutting edge, the leading edge of the U.S. church. I saw some of that leading edge in Houston last week where there was a gathering from multiple congregations, multiple ethnicities and races who came together and are building a local network to make a difference for racial healing and justice in Greater Houston. I see it every time I engage with folks in Michigan and see the courageous leadership of Stephanie Kreider and Becky Lee and others on that team. They this year trained and equipped over 600 Michiganders. I think that's what they call it, right, Betty? Michiganders on how to have different kinds of political conversations with people in their lives. Political conversations that were not about debating or convincing someone of something, but rather that were rooted in empathy, in redemptive belief, in listening well, in learning and committing to relationship after the election and after the turmoil. And we believe that will help rebuild an atmosphere in Michigan this year and around this country. That's how we do it, by rewiring those parts of us that have died because we have given in to silos and echo chambers far too often. This is the dream. This is where we're headed, to the cutting edge, the leading edge of the U.S. church. Hopefully a leading edge that will be marked by people like Rimmel, who are able to say their name, and the next generation, which is beautiful and I believe is longing for hope, is longing for community, and is longing for justice and belonging. We want to be that community moving ahead. And I think we want to give you a chance at this point to actually do some breakout groups. And let me see if I have those questions for us. We are going to do the following questions. Let me see where I can find those. Where are the, oh, good, we have them. We're going to break into groups. We're probably going to do more like 10 minutes. And we just want to invite you to answer the question, how do you keep going? And how do you pause and rest? And take time to pray for Undivided. This is a time we're in a spiritual warfare situation. We've experienced that tonight. What is it going to take you to keep going? And how do you take care of yourself in this next season? And we'll come back in about 12 minutes and continue to experience Undivided together. All right. Welcome back, everyone. How was your time in breakouts? Hopefully it was restorative. I just want to say one of the decisions that we've made about the gathering is that those breakout times are really, really important. And because of that, we do these as meetings and not webinars. The risk of that should be obvious tonight. And I think that community is so important. And so we're going to continue to do everything we can to try to handle and figure out some good ways to get ahead of some of this. But here's what I do want to say. We did some work earlier this year on our why for Undivided, and we said that our why is to cultivate spaces of connection and belonging, to activate people to embody agency in a world where everything is saying we should just give up. We should give up because we're exhausted. We should give up because it's too difficult. We should give up because we're afraid of saying the wrong thing. We should give up because God's got more important things to do, as if racism is too big for God. And we refuse to believe that. At Undivided, we refuse to believe that. My personal why is to help people come alive. There's a quote from a great theologian, Howard Thurman, who says, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask for you to come alive, because what the world needs is for you to come alive." And people coming alive is what excites me. And my why is to help people come alive so we can do the impossible together. And this feels impossible right now when we look at our broken, beaten up, divided world, but not too impossible for God and not too impossible for us. So I am grateful as we enter into chapter 3 that we get to do it together. It's going to be messy. It's going to be a spiritual battle. And it's the work that God has ordained us to do together. And for that, I'm excited and grateful for this chapter 3 of Undivided. A part of what we want to do with the gathering is get some feedback tonight. So we're going to actually ask you in real time to spend about 3 or 4 minutes. And there's a feedback, or there's a QR code, so you can do this on your phone. We're also going to drop a link in the chat so you can go to that link. And I believe there's just a few questions, but we want to get some feedback on how to make the gathering the watering hole for Undivided as we move into 2025. Would you take just a few minutes and fill out that survey? We would appreciate it. And just want to affirm some things in the chat as we're doing that. Elizabeth saying this place is a powerful place of healing. The enemy wants to do everything they can to disrupt healing. And Stephanie, thanks for your leadership, even with a disruptor in your group, that God was still speaking and sharing through people. Hopefully folks are able to get into that survey. I'm going to actually do it myself to see how long it takes. We want to do it in real time so we can get this feedback for the season ahead. All right. Well, as you're finishing that up, one of the things I want to just talk through a little bit is that we are changing some of our approach with Undivided. We're going to go to more of a partnership approach, which means we're going to be charging more of a one-time partnership fee, maybe an annual small partnership with congregations, institutions. But basically, our Undivided cohorts and all the other materials we share with churches and organizations are not going to be a source of revenue for us anymore. So part of what we're really needing to do is shift some of that to our alumni, to those who are partners with Undivided. So we are going to be inviting folks, particularly in this next season, to participate in what we're calling, again, this year, a Joy and Justice campaign. But that is to prayerfully consider being a donor with Undivided, whether that's to give monthly or a one-time gift, your partnership in giving is going to be part of how we are able to sustain this movement. And we're going to be doing some gathering here in Cincinnati if you're around, but we really want you to become someone who is committed to lock arms with us, to lock arms and to say, I'm in this with you for the work of racial healing, solidarity, and justice. And one way to do that is to partner in this chapter with all the gifts you have. So not only financially, but we're going to be inviting you to step in, to come alive to whatever that gift is you have. So there will be an opportunity over these coming weeks to partner with us as part of this next season of Undivided. And I think we'll ask a slide to come up one more time. This one should take you to what it means to support us in this important season. And here's the ask: to declare, I'm a healing champion. I can make a one-time gift. And healing, we often give an honorarium for speakers, none tonight, but that's what those gifts of 100 to 500 could do. A solidarity gift helps us with art, helps us to grow our ability as community builders. And then there are leadership partners who are stepping out and committing to a multi-year pledge. And you can email to learn more about that. Let me say this, though: even if you're able to do $10 a month or something like that to support us and become part of this growing movement for Chapter 3, we want to invite you to step forward and join us in this season. So as we continue tonight, our time is really valuable, and we appreciate everyone who's here. And we know the Undivided community exists outside the 4 virtual walls of these Zoom boxes. And we want you to be a part of it. As we work to cultivate a gathering space where people can experience both care and connection, we understand additional support may be helpful. If you're interested in additional care support, check the link that's going to be shared in the chat. Our desire is for you to be connected and known in the Undivided community. We also believe in the transformative power of healing. We know that often doesn't happen alone. So if you would like to receive care or connect one-on-one with a member of our care team, please submit a care request, and there's a form that will be showing up in the chat. We're so grateful for each of you who joined us today to celebrate Chapter 2, and thank you for your warm words of encouragement and prayers as we step into Chapter 3. We hope this has been refreshing for each and every one of you. I'm going to close this in prayer, and we will continue, as we always do, to have an after party here from 8 to 8:15 Eastern Time. So if you'd like to hang around, please do so. Would you join me as we pray together? God, thank you for being a firm foundation. It's so tempting to put our hope and trust in sinking sand, but you are always with us to the end of the age. You see us when we're hurting, when we feel alone, when we lament, when we're angry, when we're celebrating, when we're laughing, when we're full of joy. You are with us, all of us. You're with us every step of the way. So God, we claim those words that were spoken over Joshua thousands of years ago, that we would be strong and courageous for these days ahead, that we would love with strength and courage, that we would love across barriers, that we would love across difference, that we would love those who may have voted differently, who may believe differently, who may be far away from you or far away from us, that we would love with courage and strength. And God, that you would give us grace. Give us grace for ourselves. Give us grace for those around us. And help us to lean in to that truth that we are all your children, created in your image, and that you loved us enough to send your son to die for us. And on that third day, he rose again. We claim the power of your resurrection and that resurrection power to rest on the work of Undivided in the days and weeks and months ahead. May we be strong and courageous together for the mission you've given us. In Jesus' name, amen.